For us women, that time of the month can be the worst. The cravings, the bloating, and PMS. Ugh. Like I mentioned, I've been using Hormone Harmony to balance my hormones, and it's really helped with relieving my mood swings and just not feeling so off. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens, which help the body adapt to stressors like hormonal changes that happen naturally throughout a woman's life, which is why Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. It has zero sugar and is gluten-free, dairy-free, non-GMO, and third-party tested. The product is so popular, a bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
Yes, we all know the quality of makeup and skincare products are important, but have you ever thought about how you apply them is even more important for results? Since 2019, Anissa Beauty has been leading the way in creating vegan and cruelty-free makeup and skincare brushes that are safe for your skin and the planet and are designed to optimize the application and absorption of skincare products. Their popular Pinnacle Foundation brush has made such a big difference for me. I used to hate wearing foundation because it always felt so caked on, but with this brush, I can use so little product and it goes on flawlessly due to its patented triangular shape. Anissa Beauty's brushes deliver value and quality like no other. The same goes for their Pinnacle Skin Brush, which has completely changed how I apply skincare. I no longer use my hands to apply my products. Check out the Pinnacle Foundation brush as well as several other amazing brushes at anissabeauty.com and get 30% off site-wide with the code DATEABLE. That's ANISA beauty.com. And don't forget to use the code DATEABLE. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to Dateable.
Have you been dreaming recently? Because I dream all the time and I always forget what I dream. So I'm keeping a dream journal. But Julie, you know, I'm really into this topic of dreams.
You are. Was it before South by Southwest or was it that got you? Okay. So when we were at South by Southwest, there was a seminar, I would say, because it was pretty long, right?
Workshop. Yep.
Yeah. That was all about like harnessing your dreams. And you were so ecstatic about it. So you were like, you've been to like multiple, you're like, we need to do this on the podcast. And I'm like, how does this connect dating? Like outside of like, oh, I'm dreaming of this person. But I will say I'm a converter. I get it now. This was such an interesting episode and I took so much away from it.
I feel like you're either in the camp of, oh, I'm really into dreams, or you're like, woo-woo shit, right? And I like that in this conversation, we bridge both universes because it's not just woo-woo. It's not like, oh, listen to what your dreams are telling you. It's not ignore your dreams, they mean nothing. It's about how do we harness our subconscious, which is most of our thinking brain that we don't use. And the only time we tend to use it is when we're sleeping. So think about all the horsepower in your brain that we are not harnessing yet that now we can tap into for who knows what the possibilities are.
Yeah, I think when you put it that way, when you're like, look, we go to therapy, we spend hours with self-help books and podcasts. But then there's like that other layer of your subconscious. And can we use that too? And, our expert that we talked to, Charlie Morley, that we'll go into more, I loved how he broke it down that it's not an either or, but they can all kind of work together.
Yes. And he's wonderful. Julie knows how much I love Charlie because I went to a Mind Valley conference in Estonia. I saw Charlie speak. He is kind of like a lucid dreaming expert. And in the talk I went to, he kind of gave you a step-by-step of how to lucid dream and then what do you do once you're lucid. We go into that in this conversation, but he's also just like a holistic dream researcher. He's been lucid dreaming since he was a teenager. Isn't that wild? That's just good for him.
So I feel like for people that aren't as familiar with the dream space, like what does lucid dreaming mean to you? How would you describe that to a beginner?
The best way he described it was lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming and you know you're dreaming. You're conscious of the fact that you're dreaming, but you're still in a dream state. And I think everyone's experienced this at some point. It's such a creepy feeling at first because you're like, whoa, am I half dead? Like, whoa, this is very strange. What is this universe I'm in? So most of us get scared by that lucid state and we just try to snap out of it, wake ourselves. But he is such a proponent of staying in the lucid state, staying conscious while your dream state, and then using your dreams for answers to your life's biggest questions.
I think that's what, I found super interesting. Like when we were at South by Southwest, I remember when you were super excited about the dream workshop, you were like, well, like the Beatles and like other like big artists had these like revelations in their dream that like completely transformed their work. So I think thinking about it that way of like, how do we use our dreams to transform our love lives is a really interesting way of looking at it.
I bet you anything, Cybertruck came to Elon Musk in a dream because there's no way a reasonable human being could think of that ugly ass thing in wake state. I'm just saying. It just looks like a dream state creature.
So who is this conversation for? I think anyone that wants a new way of looking at what could be holding them back. Maybe you're in therapy, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the self-help books, but you also want to tap into your subconscious as a supplement.
Yeah, really good for that. And maybe you're in therapy. You're looking for something to be a companion to your therapy or to take something into therapy. I know a lot of people who take their dreams to their therapist, not so much to interpret, but to discuss how they feel about these dreams.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie goes into this in the episode, but he had he was able to make a correlation to some of his wounds and challenges from a dream and then bring that to therapy. Yeah, I think anyone that's already interested in dream interpretation and lucid dreaming and wants more practical ways to leverage this, like what you were saying up top, Yue, about there's a balance of this being woo-woo, but also super practical.
Yes. And if you just want to be the most interesting person at a party, I'm sorry, these are like... If you just want attention, talking about lucid dreaming will get everyone's attention no matter where you are. And you're going to have some interesting facts and stats to throw out at people.
Absolutely. I think this would be entertaining at any party or date. Like, who doesn't like talking about dreams? Just don't text someone like, I had a dream about you. That's really fucking creepy.
Is that creepy? You wouldn't like that? Depends on the dream.
It depends who it was from, too. I just remember I had this guy back in the day that was totally breadcrumbing me. Like looking at it back now, it was the textbook breadcrumbing situation where he was always too busy to meet up, but then like would give me little crumbs and messages and he would just like send me a text that's like, I was dreaming of you last night and like shit like that. And it used to infuriate me. So I'm like, but you can't make, I don't know, an hour to meet up.
But he told you that he had a dream about you?
Yeah. I mean, maybe at the time I liked it. Let's be honest. Now it's infuriating. In the time I was like, oh, I'm getting some attention.
Julie, you know crumbs. What you should do? You should text him now. Be like, I had a dream about you. I had a dream about you. I had a dream about you getting... I don't know, eaten by a cat or something.
Okay, now that we're like bringing this up, he's going to pop it. I bet you. Like, it's always random people. Always random people.
He might. I know. And you'll hear this in our conversation too, but if you pay more close attention to your dreams, you'll start to realize like the people you think are in your dreams aren't actually in their physical manifestation. It's just like a symbol or a blob or a vibe, but you don't really see their face or, but you just know it's them.
I mean, I think this conversation was eye-opening for me because it really changed how I looked at dream interpretation. I think I was like more surface level with it. And I think what I really took away from this conversation that I hope other people do too is that you can use your dreams for introspection and self-discovery to get to the root of like what's actually going on for you.
Yes. And then you can start recognizing patterns in your dreams. And that's what dream interpretation is about, not the literal interpretation explanation of what's going on, but recognizing the patterns and symbols.
And then finally, how do you start using your subconscious to give you the insight and direction you need? Just another way to tap into yourself.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm so excited to share this episode with everyone.
We left this conversation, I remember just saying to you, like, wow, that far exceeded my expectations. Because I've listened to other podcasts on dream interpretation, and it can be like kind of lame. Like some of them are like really shallow.
Yeah.
This is not a shallow conversation.
No.
Like we would bring you a shallow conversation. Never.
No, we wouldn't. We would never even air something like that. Nope.
In fact, there have been some that we've done that we're like, nope, we can't air this. True story.
Yes. When we get to a level where we can disclose all the episodes we did not air, you'll see. You'll understand.
Okay, they were like 2. But
2 is a lot.
I know. I don't want to like scare off potential guests though. Most of them we do air. These were just, they went awry. They did not go the direction that we thought.
It's always a good reason. It's not like, oh, we just didn't like this person. No, it's a good there's a good reason. No, there's been 3.
Okay. Well, one day maybe we'll reveal, or it goes to the grave.
Yeah, maybe.
This is our secret. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have so many announcements. Where to begin? I don't even know. I guess the first one is that we have just rolled out a bunch of freebies if you pre-order the book. So just extra reasons to get on the pre-order. And the reason why we're doing this is we get it. Pre-ordering is like a weird concept that a lot of people don't get. And this is something, just for the record, is across the board with authors. Like everyone has a pre-order freebie or giveaway that they have. Like this is pretty much standard. But what we wanted to do is figure out what would be the right things to give you all and also make it like a really good value that why not, if you were already thinking about buying the book, why not get it early? It helps us to get more pre-orders. It helps us get the book into the world. And then you also get these pre-order freebies.
Yeah. And if you already pre-ordered, don't worry. You can just put in your order number and you'll still get the freebies. You didn't miss out on anything.
No, you didn't. So what are these? It's $108 value is what we calculated. So based off the book.
it's money. And we're giving you $100.
Okay, we're not giving you $108, but in value. Not $100 value, $108 value is what we calculated. But we have a modern dating survival guide that we created. We have an audio that we've actually sold like on its own around managing anxiety in dating, which is something that we all deal with. All of us deal with this. And then last but not least, 25 questions to ask within the first month of dating someone, to ask the person you're dating. We get this all the time of how do I see if they're a good fit? How do I know that they're ready for what I'm ready for? Just asking, do you want a relationship is not going to do it. So we have great questions that will get to the root and help you like figure out, is this person right for you? Again, not to be like peppered on a first date, but to keep in mind in that first month.
Oh yeah, please don't take the list on a first date.
Don't do that. Don't worry, we have that disclaimer on the list because we don't want to lead anyone in that direction. But
that'd be strange. Yes.
Yes, all of this. If you already pre-ordered, you get it all for free. If you were thinking about ordering when it came out, do it now and you get it all. howtobedateable.com. You'll see on the page, there's steps, buy the book, enter your order number, and you get it. That easy.
And it just holds you over until the book comes out in January. This is more than enough for you to do and look at to set you up for success so that, bam, when January hits, you're going to like, yes, let's go.
Love it. And then if you tuned in last week, you heard that we have created a new tool to help you all out that is also free. We're really just like Santa Claus, Yue, giving out all the freebies this week. But we have what we are calling the Relationship Readiness Score, where you can see, how ready are you for a relationship and then what is holding you back. And we also customize this with episodes that will help you. We know that we have like 500 plus episodes. We get a lot of DMs of like, where do I even start? And then also other ways that you could get more of a personalized dateable experience.
So many great things.
All the freebies, dateablepodcast.com. Go there. You can also access the book from there too, dateablepodcast.com/book. You'll see it, or howtobedateable.com. They all redirect to the same place.
Just go to dateablepodcast.com. You'll get everything. Just go there.
Okay, well, excited to get into it with Charlie, but before we do, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
As the crisp fall air rolls in and the leaves begin to change, don't rely only on pumpkin to spice up your life. Embrace the natural power of cannabis this fall with Via. Whether you're lounging by the fire or exploring new adventures, Via's premium federally legal cannabis products are your perfect companion. Farmed and crafted with care in the U.S. and trusted by over 500,000 customers, Via has a product for everyone. Via just launched their high THCA flower and brand new flavors for the THCA vape line, so you have more options than ever to blaze your own trail. You've all heard me talking also about their gummies. My favorite is the High Love Gummy that will awaken your senses and increase blood flow. I absolutely love it for pretty much every occasion. So if you are over 21 years of age, head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive a 15% off. That's VIIAHEMP.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. This fall, enhance your everyday with Via.
I've been really brushing up on my Italian for my trip to Italy, and this partnership with Rosetta Stone could not have come at a better time. I've been carving out 30 minutes a day on my walks, and their app has made learning a new language so easy. And it's not just Italian. This is such a steal right now because Rosetta Stone is offering our listeners lifetime access with 25 languages for 50% off the normal price. If you're looking to brush up on your Spanish, French, or even Arabic or Polish, they got you as the trusted expert for 30 years and millions of users. The best part, though, is how fast it is because Rosetta Stone immerses you in the language, and there's built-in speech recognition to give you feedback on your pronunciation. So don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. Dateable listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/today. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/today today. Okay, let's hear it from Charlie all about harnessing our dreams.
Hello, Charlie. Welcome to Dateable. You are our dream guest. Do you feel honored?
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be your dream guest.
I'm so excited to go into this because Yue has been talking nonstop about dream interpretation and harnessing your dreams. So we're really happy to have you here with us.
Great.
After I saw your talk in Mind Valley in Estonia, I've been keeping a dream journal. So you inspired me to do that. And it's fascinating. It's so fascinating what I'm remembering every night. And now that I'm doing intentionally, I think I'm starting to see some patterns and themes. So we'll get into all of that. But we're a dating podcast. But before we talk about anything dating and relationships related, let's just talk about dreams in general. Why do you think dreams are so important?
I think your point about the dream diary is interesting, right? What you remember and what you see from your dreams. Like a lot of us, myself included, spend a lot of money going to therapists and saying, what's going on inside here, doc? If you really want to know what's going on inside your mind, look at your dreams. You want to know who you're secretly in love with. You want to know what childhood traumas are still getting you down. You want to know what thing from work really pissed you off, but you thought it didn't piss you off at the time. All of that stuff is revealed in our dreams. Like you see everything, how the brain is processing, how the mind is integrating. It's all revealed in the dream diary.
Okay, so I want to go deeper into this because I'm so intrigued. So I guess how do dreams provide insights that help with your love life? Let's say you're just feeling lost or stuck in love, and how can you tap into your dreams to understand yourself better?
Well, it depends what kind of dreaming you're doing. Like if you're having a lucid dream, where a dream that you know that you're dreaming as you're dreaming, and then you use the lucid dream state to ask for advice on your love life or your dating life, then you seem to be dealing with a higher level of intelligence, because we see that the brain goes into this kind of gamma wave state when we become lucid. And it seems that in the lucid dream state, you're gaining conscious access to the wealth of wisdom that lies in your unconscious mind. So if you're having a lucid dream, you can literally ask, should I be dating this person? You can call out, give me help with my love life. And your higher self will give you these answers. However, with non-lucid dreaming, so that's the vast majority of our everyday dreams, it's hard to tell, because you could be having a dream where you're actually having a really nightmarish scenario play out with this person you've got a crush on. So you might wake up and think, oh, that means I definitely shouldn't be with this person. Not so.
Okay.
There's a lot of very interesting evolutionary biology that shows when we have a high value event coming up in our life, like a big board meeting at work, we'll often have a nightmare or an anxiety dream in the nights preceding that in which the high value event goes really, really badly. So our date's really rude to us, or they turn up late, or they don't turn up at all. And often we might wake up and think, oh, that's a sign, it's an omen, I shouldn't go on the date. Maybe not. Maybe it's that actually you're so into this person that the night before, your brain is having a fire drill.
Oh.
It's like preparing for the worst, not so the worst happens, but so if the worst was to happen, you'd know how to respond and react. So that in itself can completely change our view on dreams.
Yeah.
Because we often have these dreams that someone's being a real dick to us and we're like, oh, it's a sign, I shouldn't be with this person. Actually, it could mean that your brain's going, I'm actually really into this person, so I'm going to make up some scenarios where they are a bit of a dick. And let me see how I react and respond to that situation should it happen in the future. I mean, that's enough just to completely turn the tables on people who say things like, oh, I had a bad dream about this person, I'm not going to date them. I've got a bad feeling, or, it came up in my dreams. Actually, it's often the opposite. The brain is using the dreams like fire drills.
Okay. Fascinating, because I think a lot of people think dreams are premonitions, telling you about a prediction that's about to happen. Can dreams actually predict, or are you saying dreams can only just give you information?
This is the tricky bit, because premonition dreams or precognitive dreams, so prem before and then monition means warning, these dreams are real. We are way beyond anecdote here. There are way too many reports. I mean, we haven't proved it scientifically, because to prove prophetic dreams scientifically, you'd have to prove consciousness. And that's a hard problem no one's been able to prove. You'd also have to prove the nature of time, which interestingly is actually the time-space continuum is still theoretical. We can't prove precognitive dreams. However, they seem to happen, but they happen rarely. So although they can happen, they happen much more rarely. So in the vast majority of cases, it's probably option A, that your mind is preparing for a worst case scenario should it happen. But there is always option B, that maybe you have picked up on something, that the subconscious has picked up on something and is going, no, this isn't a good idea. How can you tell the difference? It's the feeling upon awakening. Now, I know that's not a very scientific way of looking at it, but it's about feeling into your body. And if it's a true premonition dream, and we can only tell this retrospectively, right? Because the dream turns out to be true. And then the scientists interview the people and say, when you had this dream, how did you feel upon awakening? Time and time again, we get this sense that people are waking up with, the dream won't leave them. There's nothing kind of comical about it. There's nothing kind of, oh, it was just a dream, or what a crazy dream. There's a sense of real foreboding with it. If it were my dream, I'd probably listen to it. If it was the date just went so badly, they turned up and they were rude to me, and then the waiter got naked, and then our food turned up and it was popcorn rather than, haute cuisine, I would see, okay, this is a fire drill dream. The dreamer is playing out these ridiculous scenarios that probably won't happen, but it's kind of testing my responses should they happen.
So I had this dream that my partner left me and just was I'm done with this. I can't do it anymore. And I mean, I already know I have a fear of abandonment, so that's probably creeping in. But as soon as I woke up and told him about this dream, he's just I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to worry. This is
I'm right
it.
here.
I'm here. Nothing's happening. And it did kind of pass real quick after that. Would you say that was more of a fire alarm, or do you think there's something deeper in there?
I think that's really nice, because the first thing you did was you acknowledged your current personal shadow aspects, one of which is abandonment trauma or fear of abandonment. I have exactly the same shadow, so I'm with you on that. And I need to know that because I have this shadow of fear of abandonment or abandonment trauma, that will often be played out in a fire drill. Now, it may have been that something my partner said to me the day before and the preceding days actually did kind of sting a little bit. Or maybe I watched something on TV about a couple breaking up. It could be anything.
Right.
That kind of just triggered that. And my brain going, hang on, how would I feel if they left me? Let me just play that out. Let me just rehearse that. But the fact you were able to let go of it so quickly in the morning, and the fact that actually led to this lovely connection between you and your partner. They were I'm not going anywhere. That's great. So thank goodness for that dream.
Yeah, I like that distinction a lot of this isn't a freak out necessarily, but it's showing you what's important. And I think from that dream too, I was I really don't want to lose this person. I don't want them to leave.
So I used to have this recurring dream the night before a big retreat, and I would have it pretty much before every retreat, and I've lost control of the group. So they're all getting naked, they're doing drugs, they're hiking.
They're always getting naked.
Yes. But basically, I've lost control of the group. And I used to have these dreams always before a retreat. And before I came across this science, I always used to think, God, am I really that nervous about the retreat? Then I saw this science and I thought, oh no, this is great. This shows that the retreat for me is a really high value event. And because of that, I'm having this fire drill before just to kind of warm me up, let me know that this really means something to me. Strangely, since I came across that science, I've now stopped having those dreams. It's almost as if I've looked behind the magician's curtain and the dream has gone, okay, you know what's up. So we're not going to give you those dreams anymore.
This is like just revolutionary for me. I'm just like still basking in it.
And just one more thing on this, it makes you better. So one of the studies they did was on Sorbonne Medical School students. So the Sorbonne Medical School, they were unique in that they had no coursework in your medical school exam. So 6 years of training led up to 1 day. So if you were ill on that 1 day of exams, you were not becoming a doctor. So because of that, it was one of the most highly stressed groups that this French researcher could get hold of. So they got this group of medical school students to keep a dream diary, and they were analyzing their dreams leading up to their final exams. They found a direct correlation between the medical students who had nightmares about failing the exam and how well they did. So much so that the top 5 results of the medical school graduates that year, all of them had nightmares before the exam. So they find a direct correlation between not only it's a high value event, but actually you will perform better at that high value event, whether it's an exam or a date, if you have a really bad nightmare of it going badly the night before.
Wow.
Wait, but then can you tell if you're having fire drills in your head or in your dreams versus actual warning signs about this person?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we say, it's so subtle. And I think this is why, it will always be a kind of a therapy rather than a science, because, as Julie just said, the subtleties of her being able to know that she has an abandonment trauma shadow, the way that her partner responded when she told them about the dream, it's really more of an art, not a science. It's hard to tell. But often with premonition dreams, you'll know about it. It'll be a feeling that you can't get rid of, because if you've had a premonition dream, your psychophysical system is trying to warn you. It wants you to know. So it's not going to let you forget about it. It's going to keep on reminding you about the dream, trying to kind of like draw your attention to it.
Interesting. We had another guest on this podcast that they basically ended their relationship because one of them had this dream that she was in a burning house, and it just like kept persisting.
Wow. So she had the dream several times?
Yeah, several times. And I think it carried, like what you were saying, it carried outside of just letting it go immediately. And I'm sure it wasn't just the dream, but that was like one thing they pinpointed.
Yeah, I mean, I know definitely I was in a very toxic relationship once, or as a relationship that became very toxic, actually, as much due to me as the other person. I had a very, very strong dream. That in it, they actually kind of grabbed me by the face and said, I will hurt you.
Whoa.
I will hurt you.
Wow.
Boom. And I woke up. That was the one where I told myself it was a fire alarm drill because I was so lost in the infatuation of this toxicity. I, forgot everything I knew to try and say, oh, no, it wasn't a real prophetic dream. That was just, that was the fire drill. I didn't want to hear it. But I knew the effect it had on me and the directness of it. And the fact it was one of many dreams, a kind of a sequence where there was always a similar punchline. And that is exactly what it ended with. So,
damn.
Yeah, you can have all the knowledge about it and still not do anything about it.
Do you think a dream needs to be repeated several times for you to understand the message, or should we pay attention to individual dreams too?
Individual dreams will absolutely have profound meaning for us. Some dreams don't, in the same way as some of our thoughts are just kind of cycling through the day and just kind of thinking crazy stuff. And then other times we have profound thoughts that lead to, symphonies and books being written. So it's the same with our dreams. I don't think they're all laden with mystical meaning, but some of them are. As far as recurring dreams go, if you're having a recurring dream, there's something in that dream that your mind is trying to tell you about that you're not hearing. Like a recurring dream is like an email sent again and again and again, or a letter sent again and again and again. So why is the dreamer, that intelligence within your psychology, sending you the same dream again? Because there's something in there you're not seeing. So yes, if you're having a recurring dream, I'd say definitely give that some time, because why is your dreamer giving you the same dream? There's some message in there for you. And of course, once you find out what the message is, those recurring dreams will stop. So this is like a resolution dream. You'll either resolve the conflict in the waking state by going, oh, that's what the dream is about. And then the dream will stop. Or sometimes you'll have the resolution in the waking state and then you'll receive what's called a resolution dream, which is where you'll have a very similar dream to the recurring dream with a different ending. And those are very interesting because that's so like artistic. You're like, whoa, my kind of psyche is so artistic. It's not only going to say, yeah, you got it right, but it's going to say, yeah, you got it right. And here's a dream to show you you got it right. Isn't that amazing?
It really is.
I mean, our brains are just so brilliant beyond belief. And I think we're just really not hearing it or listening to it. And speaking of recurring dreams, we might as well just go into some of the dreams that we've had because, well, we have you as an expert here. Shortly before, I think months before my last breakup, I kept having a dream of waking up in my bed alone and looking over and seeing my partner gone and having that feeling of, oh, I guess this is it. And I would wake up and be like, no, he's still there. This is not it. And it happened 5, 6 times, I think. And when it actually happened, when that final breakup happened, I remember waking up, looking over, not seeing him there. And I thought, I've been preparing for this moment. It wasn't as shocking or overwhelming as it was in my dreams.
That's a really cool example because that's a fire drill dream and a premonition dream, isn't it? You were preparing for this, but also you kind of knew it was coming, or your dreamer knew it was coming.
But I kept avoiding it. And I think that's, if I were to do it again, I would have listened to it a little bit more. But I kept thinking, no, he's not going anywhere. And, this is just it's a blind fear of mine. I just need to ignore it. But I wish I had listened to it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So if people are having these recurring dreams that may be a little bit scary or play into their fears, what do you think is the first thing they should do?
I think the first thing we should do if we want to understand the language of the dreaming mind is get to know it. So if you've been keeping a dream diary for 10 years, 20 years, if you really know the language of your dreaming mind, you're in a much better position to be able to translate its messages. If you spend a lot of time in a foreign land, and even though you don't speak the language yet, after enough exposure to that language and the body language that comes with people speaking that language, you'll probably be able to stagger your way through certain conversations, even if you don't know the language perfectly. It's the same with dreams. Now, I've been keeping a dream diary since I was 15.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I know the language of dreams, but I know the language of my dreamer pretty well. I know the symbology. I know the kind of ways that they're going to be communicating with me. So I'm in a pretty good place to make decisions on my waking life based on my dream life. So if anybody also wants to get to that position where they can really use their dreams to help inform their waking life, the first thing to do is to start listening to them. So start writing down your dreams. Every night when we go to sleep, the dreamer is creating these incredibly creative, 3-dimensional Hollywood movies, right? And we're not in the audience. We're not remembering, let alone writing a nice review about them. It's like when people say, oh, I don't write down my dreams because they're so boring. And I'm like, your dreams are so boring because you don't write them down. If your dreamer knows you're not turning up at the cinema to watch the movies every night, why is it going to bother writing good scripts? It's just going to be, I just churn out the same old stuff. But then if you start keeping a dream diary, then your dream is, oh, wow. Hey guys, we got someone in the audience tonight. Okay, let's really go. Or maybe theater's better for this. It's like a theater show. They're like, oh, there's someone in the audience now. Come on, let's do a really good show. Let's really make the script great. Let's really do brilliant improv because there's someone in the audience. So just turning up, keeping a dream diary. And then, of course, if you can reflect on your dreams too, maybe share them with a trusted friend or a coach or a therapist, then that's really telling the dreamer, hey, I'm ready to listen. And even more than that is learn lucid dreaming. Because once you learn or begin your journey with lucid dreaming, you're telling the dreamer, I not only want to listen to you, I want to talk to you. I want to have a one-on-one conversation with you in your realm of the dream. So if you do that, that's really paying homage to the dreamer. And then you're going to start to have some really deep insights.
We want to get into that with you more of how you, start to
Lucid
do this.
dream, yeah.
But
sure.
I guess the one thing that's standing out for me too in UA's example and then the example I gave earlier is that they're kind of the same, right? In the sense of we both had this fear of someone leaving. But is the only difference that UA's actually played out and mine didn't? Or is it because it was repetitive? Or because of some other feeling that one of them was more precautionary and one was more alarmist?
Well, you tell me, Julie, if you would have had that same dream 5 times over, how would you have felt about it?
That's true. So maybe it is that alone is you're why do I keep thinking about this?
Yeah, sometimes that, sometimes the feeling upon awakening. Again, I really want to be careful here to fall in the trap of telling you what your dreams mean.
Yeah.
No one can tell you what your dreams mean. And no one can really tell you which dreams to act upon or which dreams to ignore. All we can advise is to get to know the dreamer so well. When your best friend, someone you know really well, they can just look at you and you know what they're thinking. You walk into a party, you see some guy, or they either really like him or you don't like him, they'll look at you. And just in that one look, you know exactly what they think about this particular person. If you can get to the point where you know your dreamer so well as that, they can just give you one glance of a dream and you're like, yep, I need to act upon that. Or, nah, They've just got my best interests at heart. But it's so tricky. It's so tricky. I mean, Carl Jung, one of the pioneers of dream interpretation and dream work, he's often quoted saying, no one can see your own back. See your own back, you need to look in a mirror or get someone to tell you what your back looks like. Actually, if you look at the original Swiss German, he's actually saying no one can see your own ass. He says, you want to look at your butt, you need to either look at it in the mirror or get someone to tell you what your butt looks like. So I think they should probably translate it more like that, because that is like with our dreams, right? It's like, what is this part behind us that we cannot see? We need someone to either tell us by entering into kind of a therapeutic dialogue, or we need to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And the mirror is our dream diary.
Interesting.
Well, Julie, I think also the difference between you and I is I didn't acknowledge my dream with my partner and you did.
Very interesting.
So it probably in doing that, right, you brought it into the conscious world and you gave acknowledgement to the dream, and probably your dreamer was like, I don't need to serve this to her again. She learned her lesson, or she got what she got from it. I just kept repressing it and I felt scared to bring it up to my partner. And that's probably why I kept getting the recurring messages.
Yeah, that's a sign in itself too, right? Like if you're...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Julie, by bringing it up, you also gave your partner a chance to respond.
Yeah.
Because you actually gave him a chance to go, crazy dream, but actually we need to talk. There was always that option. So that was a risk you took. And in that kind of courage of putting that out there, it seemed to work for you. It worked well.
What about, I had this dream once of this guy that was on the podcast before, past guest. It was like a sexual dream. And this is someone
Did you have the sex dream before they came on as a guest or after?
I think it was after. But I had known this person as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no
we're laughing because
of this
there's
person.
no
Zero.
way Julie would ever go for this person.
Yeah, there's zero, but in my dream it was hot and heavy. What does that mean?
Okay, this is interesting. So there's a new book out at the moment by Dr. Rahul. Just came out. It's called Why We Dream.
Okay.
He's got a really cool section on sex dreams with strangers. He says the vast majority of people will have sex dreams not about people they know very well and their partners, although they might, but actually it's usually people once removed from the tribe. And the theory on this was, for our kind of procreation as a species, you wouldn't have sex dreams about people within the kind of close circle of the tribe because you'll be related to most of them. Nowadays, we're not, right? We have our family, and many people have their friends as well as their family. But we're still in this kind of evolutionary thing that we often won't have sex dreams about people in our very close inner circle because we may be related to them.
Yeah.
What we will have sex dreams about is people just on the outer circle. Like, if you ask how many people have sex dreams about someone they went to school with, or someone they worked with 20 years ago, and dude, I've never thought about this guy, or person or whoever it is.
Yeah.
They were just a dude in the office 10 years ago. Why am I dreaming about them? It's apparently, this is just one theory, right? But it's apparently that we're kind of thinking, if I were to leave this current relationship, what other kind of mates would be safe for me? What are people in the past who I remember who were safe? And often when people say it was the random kid from school, it was the random guy from college, or it was just the boring guy at work, it's because they're safe. And actually there could be something to do with the safety of that person you had this. So that's one option, that maybe there was something in you that felt this person would be a safe mate. There could be another thing in you, that there's something in you that thinks this person will be a good mate. And that could mean they have good genetics. It could mean they have a good match for you. Who knows?
He's good looking. Yeah.
Or maybe there's some sort of shadow kink playing out. Especially if it's someone who you thought
I think that's
really
it.
not
Ding,
into.
ding, ding.
If it's someone who's real, almost like it's the fire drill sex dream. It's what would happen if I had sex with this person?
Yeah. That's it. It's a fetish thing. It's a fetish thing. Yes, you're right. Maybe it's a fetish. It's he is so far from what Julie would normally go for that maybe it would bring out this other sexual side of her.
I don't know. I do actually see a weirdness in safety because we come from
Really?
similar cultural backgrounds.
Oh, interesting.
So there is something there, even though it seems far out from Yue's eyes are bulging, but I actually could see a connection there. But I do think it's interesting that this person is very much a peripheral person. So I think that's interesting what you said. And I can think about it. It's not the only person I've had a sex dream about, but I agree with you. Most of the people aren't the people I'm dating or someone close to me. It's always this like kind of random person.
Yeah.
And celebrity sex dreams are very interesting again.
I wish I had one of those. I've never had one of those, sadly.
I've never had a celebrity sex dream.
No.
Okay.
You got to ask for it tonight.
The easiest way to have a dream you've never had is to say, I never had that dream. Like, if
Okay,
I've
we'll
never
see
been
what
a
tonight
zombie,
brings.
I never have a celebrity sex dream, so you'll probably have one now. These are really interesting because celebrities nowadays are like reflections of our golden shadow, that which we repress, deny, and disown, but like our hidden talents. And they're in fact the gods and goddesses. You know, we don't have the gods of Olympus anymore. We don't have the archetypes that we used to have, like the wise man, the magician, the warrior, the lovers, the 22 arcana of the tarot. We now project them onto celebrities. So celebrity sex dreams are very interesting. And I'd say when anyone has one, don't discount them. If it's like a super random celebrity, oh, what the hell? That was a crazy dream. That was no meaning to that at all. Just have a think to yourself, what are the 3 main qualities that that celebrity represents to me?
Yeah.
Like, let's say if I had like a sex dream of like Beyonce or something. I'd be, oh, sex dream Beyonce, oh, just because she's hot, ha, ha, ha. Well, is it just because she's hot, or what are the qualities of Beyonce?
Yeah.
And I might say like female empowerment. And say like girl bossing it, you know, because she runs all her own businesses. She got a really tight lead on her finances. And also I would say something about kind of not taking no for an answer. You know, if you look at her career, she's been so driven from a kid, like she knew exactly where she was going. And then I think, well, what's sex? Sex is about union, coming into unification with something. So if I had like a sex dream of having sex with Beyonce, I would look at what did I do in the day before that or the preceding days that led me to have a dream that I'm coming into union with my inner feminist, my inner girl boss, my inner don't take no for an answer. And it's like, oh, I just put in a new book proposal. Okay, that makes total sense. The next day or in a couple of days, I dream about having sex with Beyonce.
Yeah.
Because to put in that book proposal was to kind of step into that gold and kind of access those feminine aspects of writing rather than doing. Suddenly it kind of can make more sense.
Oh, interesting.
What about this dream of, I've had this a lot recently. I keep dreaming about this guy I dated 15 years ago who made a strong impression on me. But in my dreams, I know it's him, but it's not physically him. He's in someone else's body or he's this inanimate object. But the essence of him is the through line in the dream. And I wake up and I go, I never actually saw his face. I just knew it was him. And I keep having these dreams where he reappears as someone else or something else.
Yeah, I think that's a wider comment on dreams in general. I mean, how many times do we have a dream where it's like, I dreamt of my mum, but it wasn't my mum. She like looked like the teacher from school, but it was my mum. So many times when we talk about the dreams, I'll say that. Oh, I dreamt of this person, but it wasn't them. They looked different, but it was that person.
Yeah.
There's something about dreams where actually the kind of visual image of someone is like the grossest manifestation of them. It's like the most obvious, oh, there they are. They look like them. It's like really kind of a gross manifestation. Whereas way more subtle manifestations in life as well as dreams is how someone makes us feel. You know, that kind of feeling of a person. And I think in the dream, because we're often dealing with a higher level of intelligence here, you know, the level of creativity in a dream is immense. Anyone in the waking state who tells me they're not creative, I'm like, tell me a dream. They're like, oh, I can't remember. Literally any dream you've had in your life. And they can tell me the most boring dream. I'll be like, you designed the set. You designed the costumes. You played every character. You wrote the script. You did the lighting. You tell me you aren't creative? So when we dream, we're dealing with this really high level of creativity, which I think sees as like the visual form of someone as the grossest manifestation. So often in dreams, like people won't look the way they look, but they'll feel the way they feel.
Interesting.
As if like that feeling tone is the most important. And what a cool lesson for life, right? Think how much prejudice we could drop as a species if we saw that how people look is the grossest manifestation. How they make us feel is really the essence of someone.
Yes.
What other like themes or symbolic messages? I mean, you've touched on some of this, but like, is there anything else that you think like you should pay attention to, or like how do you start to like notice maybe things that aren't like the main energy of the dream, but like some of the side stuff that could be telling you something?
Yeah, I'd say like people are really into dream dictionaries, right? They want to go on looking at A to Z of dream signs and stuff like that. I'd say start your own dream dictionary. Like get to know the like personal symbology of your own dreams. Because once you get to know it and once you name and label the symbols of your dream, you are now giving your dreamer a language that you understand and they understand. So suddenly you're bridging that gap with, oh, will I ever truly know the language of my dreamer? Maybe after decades you will, but you can hasten the process by saying, okay, dreamer, when my dad appears, I think he represents this for me. Like, so when my dad appears, like he's representing this, or when my friend appears, they represent this. Like, for example, I kept dreaming about this friend of mine called Florian, and he kept appearing in my dreams in various guises. And I kind of realized through the dreams and then reflecting on what he means to me in the waking state that Flo was a representation of my safe masculine.
Whoa.
My safe masculine, because he's a dude, he's kind of a heteronormative guy, but he's got very long hair. He looks like Jesus. He's got this soft gentleness to him. He's like really in touch with his feminine, very kind of shame-free. And I thought, okay, so that's what Flo represents to me in the waking state. So I guess when he appears in my dream, that's what he represents too. It was almost like once I told my dreamer that I get it, I get that Flo represents safe masculine. The dreamer then went, okay, now we can have a conversation.
Oh.
I started doing a lot of men's work and they had these crazy dreams. In one of the dreams, I was punching Flo in the face. I was like, bam, bam, bam. And I woke up and I was like, oh, whoa, that's kind of a heavy dream. Okay, don't judge it. The dream is speaking a different language. Everything's symbolic. What could this mean?
Yes.
Okay, so Flo represents my safe masculine. In this dream, I was punching, so that's conflict. I'm in conflict with safe masculine. What did I do the day before? Okay, at one of these men's group, actually, I didn't have a good time. I really felt that the kind of holding of the group was unsafe. I spoke out about it. I received kind of a rebuttal from the people running the groups. I was definitely in conflict with the safe masculine. Oh my God, what a cool dream. Isn't that amazing? Like it was telling me that directly. Then a few months later, I'm still into men's work, but I went to a slightly different men's group. Some really deep processes that I thought were maybe successful for me. And then that night I had a dream I was kissing Flo. So I'm like full on kissing this dude. And again, I wake up and I'm like, oh God, that's kind of as disturbing as punching me in the face. But I'm open-minded, but that's all good. And I'm thinking, okay, again, don't judge the dream. Look at the symbolism. Yeah. You were kissing your safe masculine. What happened in the day before? I've just come back from the men's work retreat where I had that big breakthrough. Of course, I'm going to dream about now kissing the safe masculine. I mean, it's a little example, but if you can work with that and start to apply it to more and more things till you've got dozens of things in your dream that you know represent specific things for you. I mean, look at Donald Trump, for example. He's a great one because for some people, dreaming of Donald Trump is the classic golden shadow celebrity. He represents for them decisiveness. He represents taking back power. He represents saying what cannot be said. He represents draining the swamp and all that stuff. And then for other people, myself included, he does not represent that. He represents misogyny. He represents racism. He represents going backwards. He represents everything that's wrong with Americana. Two people have the same dream of Donald Trump and they go and Google what does Donald Trump mean in your dreams. I mean, come on. Get to know your own personal symbology within the dream. That's the best advice I could give.
I love that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Jinx. I love that so much. I think you just helped me interpret my dream about the guy from 15 years ago and what he represents to me.
Okay.
I thought it was because I was missing him or wanting to be with him. It's not desire to be with him. It's this feeling of he brought out a side of me where I felt really inauthentic just to impress him, just to be around him. And in turn, that's how I lost him. And I think he's a constant reminder for me to tap into my authentic self.
Very good.
And the dream is always telling me, remember what's most authentic to you. You don't need to keep people around. You don't need people to stay and force them to stay. If they leave because you're authentic to who you are, then let them go. So yes, thank you.
Oh my God, that's so much deeper than just like, I keep thinking about this guy from my past. You know,
I was feeling really guilty. I'm like, am I cheating? Like I keep thinking about my ex from 15 years ago. Okay, but no, we solved that. We're good.
That's great. And also you could see like, when am I having those dreams? Like again, looking back, and I used to have this dream of this kid from school. Like he was a kind of a frenemy. Like frenemies are very interesting in dreams because again, they represent this kind of, there's something without binary. You don't understand where you stand with a frenemy. Do they like you? Do they not like you? And I started to look back at when would I dream about the kid from school was whenever I felt insecure in the day. So something in the day had made me feel really insecure. I'd read like a bad review on Amazon or something like that. I would dream of this kid at night.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. It's bidirectional. So now you've nailed it. You've seen that this person for you represents this part of you that would act in an inauthentic way. Then I would ask you to see on what happened the day before. Was there some time where maybe you either did act inauthentically or maybe the opposite? Maybe on the days where you really step into your gold, where you're truly authentic, then you dream of him as a kind of reminder of like, yeah, stay authentic because remember how this guy made you feel. Who knows?
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners. This is a weird thing about me. When I went to summer camp, we were told to take really quick showers to preserve water. It's something I've carried into adult life, and now I'm like, maybe there is a merit to taking longer showers to unwind and relax, especially now that I've been using Osea's new Undaria algae body wash, which has transformed my shower experience into a tropical paradise. Yue and I always talk about this stuff. Like, we cannot get enough. It's the citrusy scent that just smells so freaking good. Just thinking about it makes me want to take a shower. What I love about it though is how it leaves my skin feeling soft, smooth, and revitalized. I find it to be a much gentler cleansing experience than traditional body washes. And that's because it's pH balanced with a hydrating formula. So upgrade your shower with clean vegan face and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLEPODCAST at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use the code DATEABLEPODCAST for 10% off.
You know what season we're entering into? Cashmere season. Oh yes, with the cooler months ahead full of pumpkin spice lattes, wouldn't it be nice to be in a cozy cashmere sweater from Quince while sipping on said pumpkin spice latte? Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from just $50, but also have beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. I personally have the softest pair of biker shorts from Quince that are just as nice and comfortable as the really expensive brands, but like half the price. See, by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, the savings are passed on to us. So lucky us. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE.
Do you like to be in the know of what's really happening with celebrity gossip? Do you like to hear about the drama happening on reality shows before the shows even air? If you're not listening to Cocktails and Gossip yet, the time is now. I'm obsessed with this podcast because each week, Bea and Amanda, the hosts of the podcast, bring you the tea on reality TV and the craziest celebrity blinds from their website, Bravos and Cocktails. You know, I've been on a real Bravo binge lately, so this podcast is the perfect complement. And trust us, they do not hold back. Listen and you'll have some unfiltered tea to spill at your next dinner party or in your group chat. Pop culture lovers, Bravo lovers, and people who just can't get enough gossip. This is a podcast you should definitely check out. And who knows, you might hear something from Cocktails and Gossip first before you hear it anywhere else. Scandival, anyone? Listen to the weekly Cocktails and Gossip podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So I think that brings us to a really important part of this convo is like, okay, now that we've, understand a little more about interpretation of dreams, how do we use this information to actually help us with our love lives? Let's say we're feeling stuck or things aren't working out the way we want. How do we start to harness our dreams to get that advice that you were talking about earlier or actually start to make changes?
Sure. So we mentioned earlier lucid dreaming, but before we get to that, dream incubation, there actually has got quite a lot of science on interesting dream incubation. They did a lot at Harvard, this woman, Deirdre Barrett. She's the kind of Harvard dream specialist. She's really into dream incubation because compared to lucid dreaming, it's pretty easy to learn and pretty easy to teach. Essentially, before bed, you decide what you want to dream about, and you can basically ask for a dream about a certain topic. So let's say you want to dream that you're on a beach in Bali. Before bed, you say, right, tonight I want to dream I'm on a beach in Bali. Maybe I'd write that down. Tonight I want to dream I'm on a beach. Not even I want to. Tonight I dream I'm on a beach in Bali. I'd write that out 3 times. Then I might even draw a little picture of myself on the beach in Bali. And then again, at the end I'd write, so tonight I am on a beach in Bali. Take out the word dream. Tonight I am on a beach in Bali. Then I would fall asleep saying that over and over again. Tonight I am on a beach in Bali. Tonight I am on a beach in Bali. If you do that, about 30% of people do that first time. So about 1/3 of people, the first time they try that technique, they can choose what to dream about. That's such a cool technique because it boosts your confidence. You're like, whoa, wow. My dreamer is actually listening. There is actually some part of my mind that I can say I want to dream about this, and it will be like, okay, yeah, I'll let you dream about it. So the dream incubation stuff is really, really good to do. So how could we do that for our love life? We could, again, before sleep, say, right, so tonight I want advice on my love life. And then actually ask our dreamer before we go to sleep to give us that advice on our love life.
Just directly.
Yeah. So like,
just ask.
Fall asleep saying, tonight I receive advice on my love life. Tonight I receive advice on my love life. Tonight I receive advice on my love life. It sounds so simple, but when has anybody ever tried it before? It's like we never try that because we think the dreams are out of our hands. But actually the dreams are very much in our hands. And again, a bit like a script writer who has to write like 5 new scripts every night. If you can go to that script writer and give it some content, say like, dude, I want to make your job easier tonight. I really want to dream about this. Actually, that script writer will say, oh, phew, I have such a tough job having to make 5 completely different dreams every night. And then, of course, the next day you need to kind of work in some sort of, maybe not interpretation, but you need to decode the messages because you might then wake up and you had a dream about like a running race and you're like, oh, dude, Charlie's technique didn't work. I dreamt nothing about my love life. All I dreamt about was I was running around this track over and over and over again. And I kept on tripping up on these things. I kept on tripping and falling. And when I looked down, the thing I was tripping over was like a cocktail glass. And you wake up, you're like, what does that have to do with my love life? And you could say, oh, okay, so maybe my love life feels like I'm going in circles. And what's tripping me up is my alcohol consumption. I go on dates and I'm drinking and I'm really not seeing this person in a clear mind. You know, that could be an amazing piece of advice that your dream has gone, don't drink on first dates. And that's actually a dream that someone's told me about. So that's why I'm kind of using that example. They then stopped drinking on this date they had coming up and it went very well. So who knows?
I'm really into that. In addition to that ritual, are there any other things we can do with our environment that can make us more conducive to dreaming, like temperature and how we arrange our bed or anything like that?
So basically dreams happen in sleep, right? They happen at the end of sleep, actually. So we have a cycle that goes hypnagogic state into light sleep, into deep sleep, into dream. So dream comes at the end of a cycle. So to have the best dreaming, we need to have the best sleep we can have. So anything that helps us sleep better will help us dream better. So there are some classics like keeping the bedroom slightly cooler than usual. Your bedroom should be the coolest room in your house.
Okay.
It should not be warm. You don't want to be kind of covered in blankets. The air should be chilly in the bedroom, which many people don't want to hear, but it really helps with our thermoregulation, our ability to sleep well. And the second thing is darkness, keeping the room as dark as possible if you can.
So one thing I've noticed before is that sometimes I've had dreams like that are work related that have given me like the solution to a problem I've been experiencing. I haven't had this happen in love as much, but is there a way to like train yourself to do more problem solving? Let's say like, you know, decide if you should continue to date someone or to like figure out a conflict resolution. What are your thoughts?
This is cool. So I'm kind of thinking on my feet here, but there is a technique you can do, not in the dream state, actually in the hypnagogic state. So this is the state of mind like as you fall asleep. And it was famously proposed by Edison, the guy who invented the light bulb. And what he would do is he would have these afternoon naps, he called them. They weren't actually naps. He was just kind of dozing in the hypnagogic. And he would fall asleep in an armchair and he'd hold ball bearings in his hands. And before he went into this nap, he would be considering the problem. So literally reading through his notes, considering the problem. How do I make a light bulb or, you know, whatever he's inventing at the time. He would then kind of put the notepad away and fall asleep clutching these ball bearings. And then he would doze into sleep. But when he entered full sleep, his hands would release the ball bearings that hit the floor. The sound would wake him up. Because he knew that access to not only dreams, but the hypnagogic state, the state between wakefulness and sleep, is actually for creative problem solving, possibly even better than dreams. And again, new studies from Harvard, Deirdre Barrett again, back this up. Because when we ask our dreams to solve our problems, although they can be great at solving problems, we've got to rely on first remembering the dream, writing it down in the morning, and decoding the solution to the problem. Whereas if we can work in the hypnagogic state, we can fall asleep with a certain problem in our mind, drop into this half awake, half asleep state where we become way more creative. Why? Because the brain moves from left brain dominance to right brain dominance. And we know that the right brain is way more creative. So you can dip into this dreamy state, but luckily you can actually then come out and you remember what you've seen. Because you're not in that full dream where you got to kind of remember it in the morning. You might forget the dream. You might got to decode it. So I would say try an afternoon nap for this. Kind of lying down and try to not enter full sleep, but enter that kind of halfway state and bring the question to mind as you're drifting off. So again, you said it could be work problems, but again, this could be love life.
Yeah.
considerations, right? What would my life be like if I was with this person?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I often find with relationships, I ask, what will the date be like? Actually, what I want to ask is, what would my life be like with this person if the date went well? That's actually the question I want answering. Like, the date might go well, I might go badly, right? But it's like, how would my life be if the date went so well, I entered into a relationship with this person? That's actually the crux of the matter. So maybe to fall asleep with that and kind of playing that around in my mind as I fall asleep, and then seeing what I can create in that hypnagogic state, if any kind of insights come to me.
So maybe this goes into lucid dreaming, but I was just thinking about this as you were talking. The weirdest dreams I've ever had in my life were during when I had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember like solving mazes and actual problems with my coworkers.
You were like a savant.
Yeah, like it was very out of body experience. And I've never experienced this before. I think it's because I had like a crazy high temperature or something. I was like hallucinating. Maybe a two-parter, but like, is there like a state that can get you to think things like even more vividly? Or like maybe this is a segue to lucid dreaming too, because I'd love to hear more about that.
So fever dreams are interesting. Like, these are real. It seems to be like, because body temperature affects sleep and dreams so much, often kind of more nightmarish dreams. So not the same as you've had. You seem to have like really good problem solving dreams of this bit of COVID. Did you have COVID at the time?
Yeah. No, I had COVID.
Was it really bad?
It wasn't really bad, no.
Oh, okay. I was going to propose some theory there that, like, if you were really close to death and the body was like, come on, let's do our best thinking now. We haven't got long to live.
Well, that's
it
creative.
wasn't that dire. Yeah.
That's very creative.
Who knows? I mean, the COVID was obviously affecting your brain in some way, that you were having these more vivid dreams, these more insightful dreams. Was it the COVID? Was the meds you were taking for COVID? Who knows?
It's true.
Well, you know what it is? I think part of it is when I have a high fever, I can't fall asleep completely. So I get to a state where I'm about to, and then I'm still awake because I have this fever and I'm still in pain.
Yeah, you stay in those upper echelons where lucid dreaming is more easy. And also that kind of the dream creativity we spoke about just now is easier because you're dipping into the dream, then dipping out, then dipping into sleep, then dipping out.
That's interesting.
This reminds me of your talk at Mind Valley. You were talking about we can also use napping to continue our dreams, right? If you, let's say you wake up because your alarm went off and you're like, oh, I'm in this middle of this exciting dream. We can then use napping to maybe continue that?
Yes, you can do kind of dream drop-in, which is where people continue dreams that they wanted to, like they're in the middle of a great dream and it ends because the alarm goes off and they want to continue this dream. Definitely possible. And I think people have tried this or experienced this probably if they wake up to pee in the night. And sometimes it's as if the brain is like press pause on Netflix. And then you go and pee and then you get back to sleep and it like presses play and the dream continues. If that happens, there's obviously something in the dream that your dreamer wanted to tell you about. It's been like, no, we need to give them the end of it. We need to give them the punchline because there's like something of meaning here. So for one, if that does happen, with a small break in the middle, like waking up to pee, I'd look at the content of that dream a little bit more than I would a normal dream. Because there's obviously something in there that's wanted to continue. As far as intentionally doing it, it seems to be possible. Like if we fall asleep, let's say I wake up with a great dream that ended too short. And then later in that day, I have a nap and I want to go back to that dream. Then what I could do is as I'm falling asleep, I would visualize the dream I was having before I woke up and kind of imagine myself back in that dream. That can often be enough to kind of plant the seed to continue dreaming about it. However, I wouldn't actually recommend people doing that because if you're doing that, it's kind of taking control of the dreamer and saying like, I know what I want to dream about best. Like if the dreamer wants you to continue that dream or to have that dream again, it will give you the dream again. Whereas if we kind of move towards that too strongly, it can be a sense of like controlling the dream. However, if you become lucid in your dream, you might say this is even more control, right? But actually, once we become lucid in the dream and we know that we're dreaming as the dream is happening, we can call out for what we want to happen. We can decide what we want to do. But actually, this is in a state of deep reverence for the dreamer because we've done these practices to intentionally enter into the dream with a greater level of consciousness. And the dreamer responds to that. They're like, oh, okay, you kind of want to meet me. So it's actually, even lucid dreaming isn't about control. It's about kind of meeting the dreamer on its own terms.
Perfect segue into lucid dreaming.
Yeah. I want to go into it. How do you do it? What is it?
How do you do it? Yeah.
So a lucid dream is a dream where you know that you're dreaming as the dream is happening. So anyone who's ever had a dream where they're sound asleep, but in the dream they're like, oh, wow, I'm in a dream right now. This is so cool. I can choose what to do. That's a lucid dream. And for those who haven't had that experience, or maybe for those who have, if they've ever had the experience of being in a nightmare and being in the nightmare going, I've got to wake up, that was a lucid dream too. Because the moment you acknowledge there's a place to wake up to, you acknowledge that you were in a dream. So the first takeaway I'd say is if you're ever lucky enough to find yourself lucid in a nightmare, don't wake up. Because every time you wake yourself from a nightmare, it's like a therapy session cut short. And so the nightmare has to recur. This is why we have the term recurring nightmares rather than the term recurring happy dreams. I mean, that's not even a phrase, right?
Right.
Because those happy dreams, there was no need for the dream to recur because the therapy session was integrated in the moment. But when we're having those really deep, kind of often trauma-based therapy sessions that we call nightmares, if they're cut short, they have to come again. So the best thing we can do if we ever become lucid in a nightmare is stay in the therapy room. You know, it may be uncomfortable. It's a really bitter medicine to swallow, but nightmares are really trying to help us. But anyway, a lucid dream is any dream where you know that you're dreaming as the dream is happening, and then you can choose what to do. Essentially, you're conscious in the unconscious mind. So if that sounds a bit like hypnotherapy, it kind of should, because in the same way as a hypnotherapist will guide you into the subconscious mind and then plant seeds of suggestions that affect your waking state, you're doing the same in a lucid dream. But you're guiding yourself in, and you're not just going to the subconscious, you're going to the depths of the unconscious. But in the same way you go in there, you can make changes, you can plant seeds that will affect your behavior in the waking state. And that's the real crux of lucid dreaming.
So how do you start to get there?
Yeah, how do you do it?
Let's say you're not someone that's ever had a lucid dream before.
Well, first thing we do, we remember your dreams and then to write them down. To fall asleep, reciting a mantra or an affirmation like, tonight I remember my dreams, I have excellent dream recall. Fall asleep saying that over and over again. And in fact, even before that, we need to remove the barrier that some people have to think that they don't dream. Everybody dreams. If you sleep, you dream. And if you dream, you can lucid dream. So people who say they don't dream, what they actually mean is I don't remember my dreams, because you dream every night. It's kind of hardwired into the biology. So fall asleep with that strong intention to remember your dreams. The next step is to write down your dreams. So when you wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night, whenever it might be, write down your experience. And your experience could be, I think I've been somewhere, but I just can't remember any of it. That's fine. Write that down. And then after a few days, a few weeks, you'll remember more and more and more until you're writing down kind of vivid descriptions of what happened. The reason you write down your dreams from a lucid dreaming point of view is not dream interpretation. I know we've spoken a lot about interpreting dreams in this podcast, but actually that's kind of not my main thing. And I wouldn't advise combining that with lucid dreaming, kind of keep the practices separate. For lucid dreaming, the reason we write down our dreams is to spot dream signs. So dream sign is a term given to any aspect of the content of your dream that can indicate to you that you're dreaming. So if you're dreaming you're in the office at work, okay, no dream signs.
Right.
If you're dreaming you're in the office at work and then suddenly your dead grandmother is behind the desk and she's having a conversation to Donald Trump riding on a blue dragon, you're like, okay, this is full of dream signs.
That's not
Dead
real.
grandma, blue dragon, Donald Trump. These are things that could indicate to me that I was dreaming. So by writing down our dreams, we start to notice these dream signs. We're like, oh, wow, I always dream about being back at school. Or I often dream of my dead grandmother. Or I keep dreaming of Donald Trump. So we start to kind of note these aspects of our dreaming mind that only happen in our dreams. So we start to associate Donald Trump with dreaming, or dead grandmother with dreaming, or being back at school with dreaming, whatever it is. And then before we go to sleep, we remind ourselves of these triggers. We say if between now and breakfast, I'm back at school, I know that I'm dreaming. Or if between now and breakfast, I see my dead grandmother, I know that I'm dreaming. So we start to set up these lucidity triggers, which will eventually start to go off in our lucid dreams. So these are kind of ways we can, these are the first 3 steps towards lucidity. And these are called the 3 Ds: dream recall, dream diaries, dream signs. And the 4th D, and the most important, is dream planning. So this is actually a bit like the dream incubation thing we had. Decide what you want to do in your lucid dream before you get there. Because otherwise you become lucid. You're like, oh, wow, I'm in a dream. Oh, this is so cool. Whoa, what am I supposed to do? And then you just wake up. So far better you decide what you want to do beforehand. So what kind of stuff can you do in the lucid dream? Well, you could work with phobias. You could work with post-traumatic stress disorder and trauma. You could ask big questions. You could become lucid and call out, give me advice on my love life. Now, compared to a non-lucid dream where you might receive some sort of symbolic representation, if you become lucid and you call out your lucid dream, give me advice on my love life, someone will probably walk into the dream and go, okay, let's sit down. Okay, first of all, This person you're dating at the moment, they're good, but this. This next person you're going to date, what about that guy from work? It's amazing. Once you're lucid, your brain is awake and alive and on fire. And you can talk to your consciousness in personified form. This is very, very trippy. This is like being in the Matrix, but you know you're in the Matrix. It's like your psychological concepts become personified. So you can talk to fear. We have our fear of abandonment shadow. We could meet our fear of abandonment shadow in the dream. And in the lucid dream, it will appear in personified form. It's like this is next level psychotherapeutic work we can do in the lucid dream.
Can you give us an example of how you used lucid dreaming to get insights into a dating conundrum or a love life issue that you were working through?
Yeah, this was actually quite a heavy one, but we kind of mentioned it before with both Julie and me having kind of abandonment shadows. I had seen that there was this recurring thing coming up that was just wrecking relationships, that I was so scared of abandonment, I would end up manifesting the abandonment I was afraid of to kind of confirm my bias. To be like, yeah, see, I knew it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, there's something really deep in here. It's kind of linked to trauma. It's really old. How can I get to it? Well, you could get to a few therapy, and maybe after a few months, I'll eventually be able to get to it. And therapy can be brilliant. But in some cases, a more direct route to that state is through the lucid dream state, because you get right there. So I made a dream plan to meet what I called Wounded Charlie, was the name I gave to him, but it was my abandonment shadow, but I called the Wounded Charlie. And I became lucid, and in the dream I call out, Wounded Charlie, come to me, abandonment shadow, come to me, abandonment shadow, come to me. And I was on the top of a bridge, and I was calling this off the top of the bridge, and then I looked down and I saw me at the age of 21. Now, how do I know I was 21? I just knew, and also the haircut gave it away. I had a shaved head at the time. And I was like, that's me. And I was like, why is it me at like 21? And I realized that's when I first experienced heartbreak. And I was like, whoa, that's where this started. I was so traumatized by the heartbreak at 21. Wow. It had created this like deep wound that was manifesting in this fear of abandonment. And as I looked over them, what would have been great in the lucid dream was if I could have hugged them. Everything in the dream is symbolic. So what could be more symbolic of love and acceptance than the hug? So anything in the lucid dream, hug it, right? If you meet a monster, you meet something scary, something great, hug them. But I couldn't reach them. They were under a bridge. And someone pointed out recently when I shared this at the workshop, under a bridge, like water under the bridge. And I was like, whoa. And then I replied with, yeah, and that's also where trolls live. Isn't it? The trolls live under the bridge, the kind of scary monsters. And I was like, whoa. And I couldn't reach them. Like they were there and I was telling them like, Charlie, I'm here. I love you. But I couldn't reach them. I couldn't embrace them. And now looking back on at that time, that's true. I couldn't reach them. I couldn't embrace them. They were too far away. They were still under the bridge of my consciousness. But with time, and that dream was a great representation because it showed me the original wound. It showed me, this started when you were 21.
Wow. The
dreamer showed you as 21, it wanted you to know you were 21. And of course, it makes sense. Why had I never thought about that? So then I could bring that to a therapist in the waking state. So it was like, the lucid dream was quicker than therapy? Well, not necessarily. It showed me the original wound, which I could then bring to a waking state therapist and start to unpack it. So I think that's a really great way. It's not like lucid dreaming is a silver bullet that can just solve everything, but it can kind of make our progress much swifter towards these insights, which we can then work on in the waking state.
This has been such an incredible conversation. I have so many takeaways, but I think first and foremost, we really need to look at dreams as another way and mechanism to get unstuck with our love lives. Yeah. Because I think this is a forgotten path. And I love some of the stuff you were saying too, of you can use your dreams to dig in deeper, whether that's with a therapist or have conversations or, on your own, whatever it may be. It's like a starting point. And I think sometimes you just need that starting point of where do I even go to get the answers I want? So I love all of that. And then just what you were saying earlier about the differences of taking dreams at face value versus looking at the meaning, but also not just a generic meaning, but assigning your own meaning.
Yes.
Because ultimately, the dreams are here to help you. You need to find a meaning that resonates so you can use this for the power it can be.
So true. What I'm taking away from this is many of us, our first reaction to a problem is we want to seek external help. We read a book or go to a therapist or ask our friends and screenshot it and share with our group. And we do so much external crowdsourcing that we don't do enough of the crowdsourcing from within.
Yes.
And there's just so much from our subconscious that's trying to tell us, because we are digesting so much information every second of the day. There's no way we can interpret that and digest that in the waking world. But when we are sleeping, there is a chance for us to bring in all of that information. And even in your example, Charlie, that memory of the 21-year-old Charlie was a memory that you suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
That in the waking world, you're like, I was fine at 21. I had a buzz cut and I was good. But then your dream is like, hey, remember, this is what happened to you. And I think a lot of us have, myself included, suppressed a lot of that memories and feelings. So there's so much power in our subconscious. I love that your body of work is really helping people harness the subconscious and really learn this technique of lucid dreaming, which is not easy. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. I have not been successful, but I've been close.
Yes.
So at least I can say that. I've made progress. But if people want to learn more about your work and how they can maybe work with you, where can they find all your information?
Yeah, so it's my website, charliemorley.com, and then on Instagram. And apparently, if you just type in Charlie Lucid, and all my stuff comes up too.
Is that your middle name now? You should change it.
And there's books and online courses and in-person retreats and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, everything's there.
Wonderful. And we will link in our show notes as well.
Thank you.
And while you, our listener, you're on the World Wide Web searching for Charlie Morley, you can also search for our upcoming book, which is coming out in January 2025, How to Be Dateable. You can pre-order the book right now. We are so excited to bring this information that we've learned in the last almost decade long podcast that we've been doing, speaking to amazing experts like Charlie and speaking to daters just like you listening, and really putting that information into a book of how we can rise above modern dating and create the love lives that we all deserve.
And make sure to leave a rating and review while you're at it too.
Please. Thank you. Thank you so much, Charlie. This was wonderful. We're all going to keep dream journals from now on and support each other in this endeavor. We're going to wrap up this episode.
Stay dateable.